And Vision Quest?
Vision Quest is a picture that portrays my beauty, the beauty that I've experienced, that I see in the desert, which I believe is a very sacred place. Many of tribesmen and Indians have gone to the desert. I mean, even Jesus taught, it's mentioned in the Bible, going into the desert for 40 days and 40 nights. The desert seems to be a place that I believe is very, very spiritual for two reasons. For one, it represents life so completely because it's so beautiful. There is so much. For anybody who's ever been into the desert, they'll know how much life is in the desert. The desert is filled with life, and there's so many different kinds of wildlife, insect life, plant life. It's so scenic and so beautiful, yet at the same time, it's a very, very harsh environment. And to me, it portrays the environment of humanity so perfectly. Because life is such a beautiful gift, and yet at the same time, it can be very rough and very rugged, but it's all beautiful. It's still there's still the beauty and reverence and love in it. And if you know how to survive, you'll always find what you need in the desert. And life is the same way. And this painting basically portrays my desire to experience enlightenment within the desert. It shows a path that winds through the desert, and at the end of it you see this little tiny man with his arms out and this massive aura lighting up the mountains.
Beautiful.
It's one of my favorite pieces.
Now, what's been your greatest inspiration in your life?
The one person that comes to mind, that's been the biggest catalyst in my life, and has been my teacher, a woman named Zena that I had met through my spiritualist church. Through taking classes with her, I would say she's been my greatest inspiration.
Beautiful.
And my muse.
And your words of wisdom?
Words of wisdom. Two things. If you have a dream, there is no other reason on this earth that you are here but to realize that dream. And if you have the faith and the belief within yourself, and that's something that sometimes has to be searched for because we don't always have it. We have to look for it. But following our dream and our destiny is what we're here to do, first and foremost. And the whole universe conspires to make it so if we can just follow the flow of life. So never judge anything. Never judge anything. If something comes your way, keep an open mind. The other thing is don't forget to be kind to each other. Every once in a while, if you experience an opportunity to do something for someone that will help them, that will shake them out of their drama, then do it. If it lasts, if it's something that only takes 5 minutes of your time, but means a whole world to someone else, then it's the best 5 minutes that you could spend helping someone. We need to always be paying attention, because every once in a while we will be presented with an opportunity to help someone along the way. I experienced a moment like this just last weekend, actually. I got up with my daughter and we were driving to the grocery store to get some stuff for breakfast. And as we were passing by this little grocery store next to the one we were going to, I noticed this cute girl coming across the parking lot. Well, I'm a young guy, and I was looking, obviously, and I noticed that she looked like she was crying. And I said to my daughter, I said, "Is she crying?" And she said, I think so. And we both watched her get into her car and get into the front seat and cover her face like this. And we knew that she was crying. And I've I felt bad because I've occasionally seen people in their cars crying. I've done it. I'm sure somebody spotted me, and I know how much I wish I could help somebody. I have a big heart, and I've always wanted to help people, so when I see that, it bothers me. I think, God, I wish I could help them in some way. But I passed it off. I thought, well, went into the grocery store, got the groceries, came back out, got in the car, and we were on our way back home, and we passed by the grocery store again, and she was still sitting in her car. And suddenly I thought, I had this moment of inspiration. I pulled off the road into the 7-Eleven, jumped in, and there was a bucket of flowers that they were selling, and I found a bundle of 3 roses for $10. So I grabbed it. My daughter was like, no, Dad, just leave her alone, please just... My daughter's very, she gets very nervous, and I wanted her to understand too that this is something that I felt guided to do. It's very important. I pulled out into the parking lot behind her, got out of the car, and walked to her window, and by the time I got to the window, she was looking at me. She looked scared, and I could tell at the same time that she had been bawling. She had been crying. Her eyes were all red, her eyelashes were all stuck together. And I said to her, my daughter and I had noticed that you were crying. And I said, I don't know what's going on in your life right now, but I said, I got these hoping that they would cheer you up. And I put them in between her door and her side view mirror, and she covered her face and burst. She never opened the window. She never spoke to me. And I said, life is not that bad, honey. And with that, I went, and I left. I got back in the car, and I said to my daughter, I said, there is no greater gift that you can give to somebody when you shake them out of their when you shake them out of their misery. For all I know, and for all my daughter knew, that girl could have been contemplating suicide. We don't know. I've no idea. It was probably just man troubles, but you know what? It could have been could have been anything. She could have been contemplating suicide. And in that moment, because a complete stranger was paying attention, that little tiny gesture could have changed her life, could have saved her life. So, we often think, oh no, I can't do that because, we're afraid of what somebody might think. They might be creeped out. Well, maybe so, but take the action anyway, because you never know the impact you might have on that person. Like I said, you might actually be saving their life. So, when you feel guided to do something like that, do it, because it's so important. And I wanted my daughter to know how important it is to pay attention and to do things for people like this, to give back. Because literally, what you do to another, you literally do for yourself. If you want to create the experience of having something, give it to someone else, because you're literally giving back to yourself. For those of you that don't believe in angels, in that moment, I believe that I was an angel for her. And in hopes that if I'm ever going through something the same, that it will be returned, that somebody paying attention, the world is a beautiful place, and there are people out there that care and that are paying attention. So if you think that nobody's watching and nobody's listening, it's not true.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Cameron, thank you so much for opening up your story, your heart, sharing yourself the way you have with the TV show. I love how you talk about your overwhelming sense of destiny, and I love that you're out there following it. I think you're an incredible human. I think your experience is just so beautiful. I love your art. It was such a joy to have you over, and I hope to work with you again. So Much love, many blessings to you, Cameron, and thanks again.